Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the City Council regular meeting Monday, November 7th to order at 6:01. I'd like to start with the land acknowledgement. We'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather and that is currently known as the City of West Hollywood is the occupied, unceded, seized territory of the Gabrieleño Tongva and Gabrieleño Kizh peoples. Shannon Morton, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Great, thank you. Come on down.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Shannon. Can we get a roll call?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Can you hear my mic? No. Okay, it's on, but I don't hear it either. So I'm going to talk really loud. Councilmember D'Amico.
Here.
Councilmember Erickson.
Here.
Councilmember Horvath.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Shine.
Present.
Mayor Meister.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. And can we please get our city attorney to give a report on the closed session agenda?
Yes, good evening. The City Council convened a closed session this evening at 5:30 p.m. There were no members of the public here to speak on the posted agenda item. The council spoke about the one item listed on the posted agenda and took no reportable action. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we get approval of our agenda? First, does staff have any changes?
Yes, Mayor, staff is requesting that item 2N, as in Nancy, be tabled to the November 21st City Council meeting, which is the approval of a final map number 82762 for the condominium project located at 916 Westbourne Drive.
Okay, thank you very much. And do we have any other changes to the agenda?
Sure.
Councilmember Erickson?
Thank you, Mayor. I was wondering if we can move item 5B, the maximum size item. I believe you know that item, to consent.
I'm good with it. Everyone? Okay.
And I'll try another one if I may.
Please do.
The 5A, the update on the capital projects.
I have some comments about that. But I'm happy to have you move that.
Why don't we keep it on and...
Okay.
Okay.
And then I was wondering if we can move 4A, WeHo Pride, to it.
Anyone have any? I have a comment about it, but...
Great.
Anything else? Well, so we have 2N is tabled, 4A and 5B are moved to consent. Anything else? Okay, then with that, we have an agenda. Can we get a motion? Second? And now we really have an agenda. Okay. Now we're going to move to
Excuse
adjourn.
me, Mayor?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Shine, can you... I don't have the vote showing up for you.
Oh.
Thank you.
There you go. Now we have an agenda. And now we are going to move to adjournment motions. I'd like to begin, if that's okay with my colleagues. I'm going to start with, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Leslie Jordan, who was a beloved figure in West Hollywood. Leslie was an Emmy award-winning actor and comedian, as well as a writer and singer. Leslie was best known for playing Beverly Leslie on the long-running sitcom Will and Grace, as well as his roles on American Horror Story and Call Me Kat. During the pandemic, Leslie brightened the world by posting daily videos on social media, which attracted millions of new followers. I used to see him often at the big gay Starbucks, where he entertained everyone in his path. When the city changed out the existing parking meters to meters that were lower in height, he boasted that we did it for him. Leslie Jordan was a lovely, funny person. He was one in a million, and he will be missed. I'd also like to adjourn in memory of West Hollywood resident Liliana Mijolik, who died on October 13th at the age of 94. Liliana was born September 28, 1928, in the Bosnia and Herzegovina region of the former Kingdom of Yugoslavia. Liliana studied history at the University of Belgrade and kept a keen intellectual interest in politics, history, science, and sport throughout her life. She married Mirko Mijolik in 1949 and had 2 daughters and 2 grandsons. Liliana became a U.S. citizen in 2012 and moved to West Hollywood and lived with her daughter Vera, a longtime West Hollywood resident. She always communicated with a warm smile to friends and neighbors during her daily walks through her Hayworth Avenue neighborhood. We send our condolences to Vera and her family. Are there any other adjournment motions? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. My first adjournment for tonight is for Dawn Williams. She was my first Social Justice Task Force member appointee and my appointee to our Housing Task Force. She was an impeccably brilliant woman that I had the honor of calling my friend. She came out to speak at a rally that we had in West Hollywood Park, and she just really, the audience was in awe of her speaking and advocating. Dawn Collette Williams, a native of Greenville, South Carolina, born on March 17, 1983, passed away Wednesday, October 5th, 2022. For the brief time Dawn walked this earth, she charmed others with her wit, humor, and larger-than-life personality. Dawn was beloved by friends and family. Dawn loved making people laugh and could fill any room with love and laughter. Dawn was a graduate of Furman University and Emory University School of Law. She was a member of the National Honor Society. She led a unique life, working as an associate professor, land use planner, stand-up comedian, member of the West Hollywood City Council Social Justice Task Force, and much-loved mock trial judge and coach. Dawn is survived by her mother, Dorothy Williams, brother David Colin Williams, sister-in-law Hong Trung, niece Vivian Rose Williams, and a host of loving aunts, uncles, cousins, second cousins, and her 2 beloved cats. Our condolences go out to all of her loved ones, to the Social Justice Task Force members who will surely miss her, and to all of West Hollywood who knew her. She is also predeceased by her father, David Williams, who was born September 13, 1946, and went back home May 14, 2008. My second adjournment for this evening is for longtime WeHo resident Becky Lincoln, who passed away Friday, November 4th, 2022, peacefully with her best friend, Chris Slowoski, who is also a former Women's Advisory Board member and West Hollywood resident. And her dog, Jerry Garcia, was by her side. At the age of 53, Becky was born in Auburn, New York, the youngest of 4. Becky graduated from the University of Buffalo with her degree in sociology. Many of her college friends moved to Los Angeles and pitched in a hat to buy Becky a ticket to visit for the visit, and that visit turned to LA, becoming her adopted home. Becky moved to West Hollywood in 1995 to be closer to work as a purchasing agent for an interior design firm, and because Becky loved to write, hike, camp, play guitar, take in local music, at one point she followed the dead. She faithfully cheered for her Dodgers, Philadelphia Eagles, and Syracuse. She enjoyed live concerts, and she was known to just take off on a long car trip solo. Becky traveled from coast to coast several times, stopping to see friends in many states. While she was able, Becky took part in many type 1 diabetes research focus groups and took part in test studies for much of the new technology that type 1 diabetics are using today. Furthering her goal to help future kids avoid all of the difficulty of being a diabetic, she formed Team Little B to take part in the annual Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, raising several thousands of dollars for research each year. As her diabetes progressed, her eyesight failed, her kidneys began to fail, forcing her to start dialysis treatments 2.5 years ago. She required stents in her heart, pancreas, and bile duct, and most recently endured a below-the-knee amputation. After being hospitalized 5 times in 2 months, Becky made the decision to discontinue dialysis on October 21st, 2022, and by November 2nd, she was in home hospice. The last few days of her life were spent enjoying the company of family and friends that came from places like New York, Washington, Arizona, and Guatemala. On Friday, November 4th, after everyone left, the lights in her window were set to blue, a lavender candle was lit, the Grateful Dead played on the radio, and her best friend, Chris, holding her hand, Becky took her last breath at 9:39 p.m. Fulfilling her long-standing wish, Becky's body was donated to UCLA School of Medicine and Research, where she will continue to help in the advancement of much-needed medical research. She will be remembered for her smile, her sense of humor, her loyalty, her kindness, and that she was a warrior to the end. Becky leaves behind her parents, 2 brothers, 1 sister, 1 sister-in-law, niece and nephew, several aunts, uncles, and cousins, all in New York, friends worldwide, and her beloved rat terrier, Jerry Garcia.
Thank you. Councilmember Horvath?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to adjourn tonight in memory of the Honorable Rosalind Wyman. Ros Wyman was a trailblazer who inspired generations of women in politics. She passed away in her home at the age of 92. In 1953, Roz was elected to the Los Angeles City Council. She was 22 years old, the youngest ever city council member in Los Angeles, the second ever woman to serve on the city council. She was an advocate for arts and sports, playing an instrumental role in bringing the Dodgers to Los Angeles, as well as the Lakers. On the national scene, Roz worked on presidential campaigns, was a chair and CEO of the planning committee for the 1984 Democratic National Convention here in California. She has been a longtime advocate for democratic and progressive issues. She helped to mentor many women in politics, including myself. And we want to extend our condolences to Roz's family. She lived a long and full life, leaving a very vibrant legacy, but we extend our condolences to her family at this time. And as is our tradition to adjourn our meetings in memory of victims of mass shootings, on Thursday, October 13th, 2 people were injured, 5 people were killed as a 15-year-old shooter opened fire in the streets of Headingham neighborhood in Raleigh, North Carolina. The 7 victims ranged in age from 16 to 60. Those who passed away were an off-duty Raleigh police officer, Gabriel Torres, 29, who was on his way to work when he was shot. James Thompson, age 16, a junior at Nightdale High School. Mary Marshall, age 34. Nicole Connors, age 52. And Susan Karnitz, age 49. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Horvath. And now we have oh, sorry, you have one? Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe you do too? No. Thank you, Mayor. I also wanted to adjourn tonight's meeting in honor of Leslie Jordan. Leslie Jordan was, of course, famous as America's favorite joke-cracking gay guy, raising awareness in a way that only he could, but he was first and foremost part of our community. And part of Leslie Jordan's history is that he was a drug addict, and he got sober here in West Hollywood and stayed sober for many years, attending meetings locally and in, I'm sure, other places as well. He also volunteered during the AIDS crisis at AIDS Project Los Angeles and Project Angel Food. And I think it's important to remember that it really is regular people that invent the world and show the world what that kind of invention means and that kind of presence in the world can bring. And I know Mr. Jordan was a few years older than I am, but not that much, and we certainly are from, in some way, the same generation that learned how to be gay in public and learned how, I learned how to do that from him, as I'm sure many other people did. So I'm sure without objection, as we already have, we'd like to adjourn tonight's meeting in honor of Leslie Jordan. And one other maybe well-known or not so well-known fact, he purchased his first home in August of this year in the city of West Hollywood. This was the place where he did that. So thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, and he was very excited about it, too. Made it even that much sadder. Anything else, John Erickson? Okay. We're going to move on now to presentations, and I believe Mayor Pro Tem, you have a presentation.
Yes, I do, Mayor. Thank you. So I'm very delighted to present a proclamation to Envision LA tonight. Envision LA was established in 2014 by pastors Josh Johnson and Michael Popham to provide a safe and inclusive space for the LGBTQ plus community to worship God. I was invited to attend their service a couple of weeks ago, and it was absolutely incredible. It was such a welcoming, high vibrational, inclusive space that I was really so honored to be a part of. And Envision LA moved to the city of West Hollywood a few years ago with weekly services previously held at the iconic Viper Room, and currently in-person services are held at 916 North Formosa Avenue. And Envision LA's core message is inclusive Christianity with an open invitation to all who are, and all are welcome regardless of race, gender, class, background, and sexual orientation. And Envision LA provides an opportunity for those previously marginalized to restore or renew their relationship with God through the atmosphere of inclusion and warmth for all, including members of the LGBTQ plus community. And today, Envision LA continues to serve as a zealous champion of the LGBTQ plus and Christian community through its religious services and events and advocacy for religious equality. Now therefore be it resolved, the City of West Hollywood does hereby recognize Envision LA for its commitment to serving the LGBTQ plus Christian community in West Hollywood and beyond, and wishes the church continued success in its future. And if you would like to come up and over here, and you can take a picture with us. I want to invite our council members to come.
Wow, what an honor. Thank you guys so much. We're just overwhelmed. We're thrilled. Firstly, we want to convey our sincerest thanks to the City Council for this beautiful honor, and a very special part of that gratitude goes to Mayor Pro Tem Seppi Shine for facilitating this event, and also our longtime fan and supporter, Councilmember Lindsay Horvath. Came to our service back when we were at the Viper Room about 5 years ago, or 4 or 5 years ago, and we always appreciate her support, as well as Planning Commission, Eric Matos is here, and he connected us with Seppi, so there's lots of people here to show gratitude to, and we are so, so thankful and honored. Just really quickly, my husband, Pastor Michael, and I are transplants to West Hollywood. We've lived here for 14 years from Nashville, if you can tell from the long syllables in our phrasing, but we are so proud to call this city our home, and if it's okay with you guys, we'd just like to share something that we read from our identity statement. Every service that we gather, we read a series of statements, and this one is what we read. It's the last part of the statement, and what that says is, we proclaim a steadfast, bold decree of acceptance, affirmation, and inclusion for every child of God in our midst and every person that is to come, regardless of race, gender, class, background, or sexual orientation. Now, just to get the technicalities out of the way, we are Jesus people, and we are church people, and the thing about us is that if you're not, that's okay, and that may separate us from other churches or other Christian organizations like ourselves, but we get like the whole skepticism and adversity that come with those words like church, and all of the things that can, I guess those words can be loaded, they can be triggering. We get it, we've been there, and that's part of the reason, probably the most major reason that we are here. And we know that there's a brand of hurt that the church has inflicted on the LGBTQIA community that only that community can understand. So we just want to know that I want you guys to know, and everyone in West Hollywood to know, that we are standing in support. We are all in, and Vision is all in with the community of West Hollywood, so much so that we're going to drive around and let everyone know that with our new license plate, that we are so serious about supporting the community and everything that the church brings to the community, community cleanups, children's programs, all of those things to say. And finally, I'll just say we are looking for a building, and we are shameless when we ask about that. We have looked everywhere from the former Collar and Leash, I think, to the former Studs Theater. So let's just get that out there in the atmosphere. But we are that serious about being here. We were planted for such a time as this. And again, we thank you for your support and your advocacy. And everyone is welcome to attend our services at 11 a.m. at 916 Formosa Avenue here in West Hollywood. Thank you, guys. My husband.
Thanks so much.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Michael Popham. I want to give honor to God, firstly, who is the source of my love and my life, and secondly, to my husband. We've been together 18 years and have been married for 8, and he is the source of my everyday joy. And I also want to give honor to Mayor Meister, to our new friend, Mayor Pro Tempore Shine, and our longtime friend, Lindsay Horvath, and all the other esteemed council members and staff. Thank you for this opportunity. We're happy to be here. It's pre-election night, and I'm fired up, so I'll try to be short. For centuries, the mostly heterosexual, homophobic, misogynistic, xenophobic representatives of the Christian church have inflicted mountains of misery, trauma, abuse, hurt, rejection on our precious LGBTQIA brothers and sisters. I know all that too well as a multi-million unit Christian songwriter. I lived a forced, guilted marriage that was forced on me by the church for years and years that actually resulted in 2 of the most precious human beings that have ever been born on this earth. Unfortunately, parental alienation is a real thing, and due to that fact and the rejection and the trauma that the straight church caused me, I have not seen my older son in 17 years. I have not heard his voice, I have not seen his face, I have not seen a picture of him. 5 years ago, I was able to reconnect with my younger son, and I'm so grateful for that. It has been my privilege and my honor throughout my almost 6 decades of living to live in my heart as a known gay man, trying to find a reconciliation between my love for myself and my love for God. It wasn't always easy. Sometimes I had to struggle, sometimes I had to fight. Since I came out 18 years ago, it has been my privilege and my joy to represent LGBTQIA lovers of God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, the source. I consider God to be all that. To represent him in a progressive Christian manner, a progressive Christian light, and to stand in the face as an almost David in the face of Goliath, the straight church, and say, you are wrong. And I will enjoy that privilege, hopefully, till my very last breath, holding up the banner, knowing that God and gay is A-OK. Thank you.
Thank you both. And now we're going to move on to public comment. The City Council values your comments. However, pursuant to the Brown Act, Council cannot take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. The public comment period is limited to 20 minutes, with 2 minutes allotted for each speaker. This public comment period is to address the City Council on consent calendar items, other agenda items, if the member of the public cannot be present at the time the item is considered, or items of general interest within the jurisdiction of the City Council. Another period is also reserved for general comment later in the meeting for those who cannot be heard at this time. And we don't have no public hearings tonight, so we don't have to worry about that. And we'll start with Ms. Tiger, followed by Adam Darvish.
Good evening, City Council, staff, and everyone here tonight. I just wanted to start with saying thank you for the kind words about Leslie Jordan. He was very special, and he took moments to make our lives even more special. Last year, I nominated him for a Rainbow Key Award. I was told that my nomination could not be found, and really, it was left there. So we won't have that opportunity to give Leslie Jordan his Rainbow Key Award in person. So I think that's just a reminder of things that we do today matter. Sometimes you can take a moment to say, let's see why we can't find it, or what was the problem. I was very well aware of how to submit, did not receive a confirmation, and found out at the end it was too late. About WeHo Pride, I'm sad to see that once again, Councilmember Erickson has moved this to consent, especially knowing the way that 9 members of the LGBTQ+ advisory board feel, comments from community, including comments in tonight's agenda. I'm really sad to see that there's not more conversation. I also think that the proposed 3-year contract is outside of the original RFP that was presented to the public, which would have extended it to 2 years, 23, 24. I don't think that 3 years is appropriate. I'm not alone in that. Many people have spoken up about that. So it's really a shame that community is not being heard, and once again, everything gets moved to consent. But yet we have 3 LGBTQ+ identifying people on this council that chose not to hear community, and once again, send something to consent without being in conversation with our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tiger. Adam Darvish, to be followed by Steve Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Meister, Mayor Pro Tem Shine, and council and staff. I am here tonight to support 3 items under a consent agenda. First one is item 2U, is Mayor Pro Tem Shine, excuse me, is related to sponsorship of speakers for Human Rights Series, and also 2W for Mayor Meister, and that is for LA versus Hate. And United Against Hate Week. And then item number 3 is 2X for thanking Councilmember Horvath for a resolution in support of HR 2584, the Judiciary Act of 2021 that basically protects and ensures delivery of equitable justice under law and protects the rights of and well-being of all Americans, and that includes minorities and those that have to face the hateful discrimination or profiling. And again, I see myself as an agent, as a young immigrant that came to this country. I don't mind to repeat that. So that is part of education for all of us. For someone that doesn't even have darker skin compared to people that come from my country, somebody with blue eyes, and someone that people even refer to. You look like us. You don't look foreign. You don't look like an import. These are all things that I had to hear as a young kid in New York, in Atlanta, and Seattle, Syracuse. Not so much in LA, but it's going on in LA. So thank you so much for those 3 items. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Steve Martin, to be followed by Wes Siegmiller.
Steve Martin, good evening, Council. I would like to build on what Ms. Tiger said about Leslie Jordan. Just a few days before he was in his accident, I ran into him at Starbucks, and as soon as our eyes met, he just broke out in one of his megawatt smiles, and he just had a way of lighting up a room. And, that's one less light I guess we're going to have, but, we need to continue celebrating his life, and hopefully we can honor him posthumously with a Rainbow Key Award so that we can keep that in touch for next year. Anyway, tomorrow's election day. We need to get everybody out to vote. Just because there's a little rain, West Hollywood we're not made of spun sugar, so I'm sure we'll get out there. Thank you, John. I'm not afraid of melting. This campaign has been really rewarding personally. You have so many friends when you're in West Hollywood, and you get to reconnect and you meet new people, and every time you knock on a door, you hear a new opinion. Even though there's a lot of consensus in this community about things, there's also a lot of diversity, and people are not bashful about expressing their opinions, which is really, really a good thing. But it was also really great to talk to a lot of young people who moved here because they wanted to be part of the West Hollywood experience and really do embrace a lot of that sense of liberty and diversity that we, I think, sometimes take for granted. I do want to thank I've just had so many volunteers, people who've donated to my campaign, people who've opened up their houses for events, and it's just been really, really gratifying. So anyway, thank you, West Hollywood, and go out and vote tomorrow.
Thank you, Steve. Wes Siegmiller.
Hi, everyone. My name is West. I'm the co-founder of the Free WeHo Coalition. And typically, I like to address the audience. It's a little obtuse, but basically, we're having a health freedom. I'm sorry, I'm getting nervous. Okay, so Friday, December 9th, we're having an event. The Free WeHo Coalition is hosting a community health forum that's happening at Plummer Park at Fiesta Hall from 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. This is going to be a really cool, free, open to the public event. We're not checking Vax cards, so feel free to come. We're going to be bringing some world-class scientific experts to bring updated medical knowledge about all sorts of issues that people in West Hollywood really want to talk about. Things like vaccine safety and efficacy, things like the effectiveness of various health measures like lockdowns, vaccine mandates and passports, and just what the updated scientific consensus is on these really hot topics. This is really important for people to come to and to support this, because we saw over the last 2 years there was a top-down, unilateral silencing of people that questioned the narrative around these various issues, and the science has caught up with reality, and so it's time for West Hollywood to catch up to that science. So you can find out more information about our event. It's called WeHo Uncensored, kind of a catchy title. It's happening, you can find out more at freeweho.com, and again, it's happening Friday, December 9th at 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at Fiesta Hall in Plummer Park. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Wes. Madam City Clerk, do we have any speakers on Zoom?
Yes, Mayor, we do.
Okay.
Our first speaker on Zoom tonight will be Christina Baldwin, to be followed by Virginia Foot. Christina, you'll have 2 minutes. Please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Baldwin, creator and producer of Women's Freedom Festival and the vice president of the L Project. We are excited to have an opportunity to produce Women's Freedom Festival as part of WeHo Pride over the next several years if this agenda item is approved. We look forward to continuing our partnership with the city to create events for the queer community by the queer community. The L Project would also like to extend our support to the affinity organizations seeking Pride funding and strongly encourage the council to approve the necessary funding for these orgs to create their own Pride event. And lastly, we would like the council to consider including the new LGBT commission as part of the Pride committee so that vested members of our community can have a voice at the table. Thank you for all of your support.
Thank you, Chris. Our next speaker is Virginia Foot, to be followed by Susan Markham. Virginia, you'll have 2 minutes. Please press *6 to unmute yourself.
I'm on Zoom, so I just hit the unmute. I don't have a *6 capability. I hope it works.
Go ahead.
So my name is Virginia Fout. I am the producer of the Elton John AIDS Foundation Oscar Party. We hold our annual event in West Hollywood, and for the last 30 years, the Elton John AIDS Foundation has turned Hollywood's biggest night into a mega fundraising vehicle for the AIDS Foundation, thanks to the large support of the city of West Hollywood. And over the last 30 years, we've raised over $86 million to go towards programs for HIV and AIDS. So we are incredibly grateful for our longstanding relationship with the city of West Hollywood, and I'm speaking on behalf of Council Item 2M to renew our longstanding, lovely agreement going forward. And we just can't thank you enough, and it's really important for us to make a change and impact with the community staying in West Hollywood, so thank you.
Thank you, Virginia. Our next speaker is Susan Markham, to be followed by Joyce Heftel. Susan, you'll have 2 minutes. Please press *6 to unmute. Susan.
Thank you, everyone, for your time and your support. My name is Susan Markheim. I live at 8455 Fountain Avenue, which is a 94-unit condominium building which butts up to the One Hotel and the Ziggy Hotel. I would like to address the City Council this evening about the continuous noise, loud music, people screaming from the Harriet on the rooftop of the One Hotel, and the noise coming from the Ziggy Hotel. I don't believe the Mondrian is contributing to any of the noise. Our building is 94 units directly affected by this on a regular basis. The noise ricochets into our north, west, east, pool courtyard, and even the south side of our building, which is on Fountain Avenue. When these hotels have their parties, the noise ricochets throughout our building, and it's horrifying. We can't open our windows. We can't sit on our patios without being bombarded with their music and screaming. We have double pane windows in our building, and we can even hear the music and screaming through those windows. The One Hotel, the Harriet, need to enclose and soundproof their open areas, their window, their roof. And the One Hotel roof has a winged flap that also contributes to the ricocheting of the noise, which, by the way, we hear even with our windows closed, as I mentioned. The hotel managers just give us a lip service. They turn things down at the moment, but they do nothing for the future events that they have. Now, I understand the Halloween and the Gay Pride, those special West Hollywood events. We understand. We look the other way on those nights. But on a Sunday night when there's no special event, it's just not acceptable. The loud music, the screaming. I'm begging. And this is affecting several homeowners in our building. It's not just me code compliance, has a record
Thank you,
of many of
Susan.
us.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, next speaker is Joyce Heftel, to be followed by Lynn Russell. Joyce, you will have 2 minutes. Please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hi, Joyce Heftel, longtime resident of West Hollywood. I thank the city council members for all the time you give to the city and residents. I also live in the Fountain View condominiums. I am also the president of the board of directors. I'm addressing the noise issue that Susan just addressed from the One Hotel and Harriet Rooftop and Ziggy Pool parties, which impacts us day and night, the residents at Fountain View, to the noise from the music and parties. As some of you may remember, I was involved in the negotiations between Fountain View, the city, and the developers of the currently called One Hotel. At that time, the developers promised the operation of the hotel would not impact the residents of Fountain View. This is not the case. The Harriet Rooftop, which Susan explained, has a half-enclosed glass wall window, which allows the noise from the customers to spread into the majority of interiors, and some of us don't have double-pane windows. The developer only paid for line of sight, and all the common areas of the building, diminishing our residents' peaceful enjoyment of our homes and negatively impacting our property values. Since Ziggy took over, there are loud parties at the pool with noise and customers. As Susan said, code compliance, who we've contacted too many times to count, has not been able to make an impact. The mitigation proposals are enclose the glass area, enclose the open area at the One Hotel with glass, and enclose the pool area with the noise baffling material, sides and top at the Ziggy, which was a apartment building when it was first built. The city has stepped in successfully numerous times when residents have been negatively impacted by business. It's time for the city to step in to solve this problem so the residents can have their quality of life and property values restored, and the businesses can continue to function. Thank you. I'm sorry I couldn't attend in person.
Thank you, Joyce. Our next speaker is Lynn Russell. Lynn, you will have 2 minutes. Please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Good evening, Mayor Meister and fellow council members. This is Lynn Russell in West Hollywood. I would like to read a letter that was emailed to Jennifer Newsom this afternoon. This morning, I was troubled to read of your recent endorsement of Lindsay Horvath in her quest for position of LA County Supervisor. Although this appears misplaced given the governor's endorsement of her opponent, Bob Hertzberg, it is possible that families don't necessarily always agree, but the endorsement is more troubling than that. Until this point, Ms. Horvath appears to have accomplished many of her personal objectives, swimming upstream, primarily within the confines of West Hollywood, that originally established goals and standards of fairness and respect for all of its residents. Ms. Horvath appears to have adroitly manipulated many people and their accomplishments, solely their own, into her personal orbit and thus embellished her resume with their efforts. This not only appears unethical, but Ms. Horvath appears to have progressively distanced herself from the community from which she states she accomplished much of her success. Her loining the accomplishments of others and appearing at public events to claim ownership of them is pretty reprehensible. Aside from these character defects is the absence of genuine skill, service, and honor, thus purporting to be capable of shouldering the demands of a position of county supervisor. Skill, service, and honor was the motto of my private school, learned early on and ingrained in most efforts, whether it be social, business, civic, or sports. Ms. Horvath is not an example of this, and to promote or elect more people devoid of outstanding character is a liability and peril we all face during our troubling current times, and we fail as a people to not recognize this fact. It is my hope that even at this late hour, you would consider disavowing yourself of your endorsement of Ms. Horvath. Thank you so much.
Do we have any more speakers?
That was our last speaker, Mayor.
Okay, then we're going to move on to council member comments and meeting attendance reports. Councilmember Erickson?
you very much, Mayor. Just following up on a couple of the public comments, if staff could reach out to Susan and Joyce to hear kind of what's going on, if they've been calling code or something of that effect, so they could see what's going on. I can imagine with everything on the Sunset Strip, it could be loud at times. So that would be appreciative. I already gave staff a heads up about this, but Danny, I know we've spoken, but there are some issues on Harrod Street with the addition that are still remaining. I personally would like to see the fire department meet with the neighborhood group there to talk about the red striping of that curb. There doesn't seem to have been given an explanation as to why one day there was parking, why one day there wasn't, and the original building plan seemed to have gone missing. I don't know. When you public records requested, it doesn't seem to happen there, and that's a problem. And apparently the issue with the fire department just came in last minute and removed it as a fire safety measure. If that is the case, the fire department needs to explain that to the neighborhood and their reasoning why. And I would like that answer to actually be given, and the residents not to have to kind of run around and do this work that we should be able to convey. Additionally, there are some vacant properties still there that are quite an eyesore that I know Code has been working with. Thank you, Danny, on that. But we need to ensure that they're not parking on the sidewalks, and if they are, they're being fined, they're leaving garbage out. And so we need to ensure that they're up to code and everything that's been going on over there, and that they meet our new vacant property standards for what we're doing. I understand one of the houses or both houses, Danny, are historic, something like that. So there's only certain things that we can do, but it just needs to be taken care of. Additionally, if Block by Block could set up a meeting with that neighborhood group, it would be great. They were supposed to come out to a meeting. I know the mayor and I attended a couple of meetings ago. There were several meetings that night, so that happens, but it'd be great for them to meet and maybe have some patrols in that street. And last but not least, if staff could work in that area to kind of create a corral or some area where scooters could be parked and maybe redlined off in the grid so they can't be parked, kind of like what we have on Melrose. It would help with some trip and fall hazards because the sidewalks are very narrow over in that area. So if staff could just work with the neighborhood, I know Danny and Jackie have been doing very well. This is not a criticism of either of you, but you know, I do talk to those neighborhoods representatives a lot, and you know, we try to do everything that we can with all of the development. So we'll talk more. Thank you so much. Additionally, in terms of meetings I have attended, I attended a community forum on Prop 1. Hope everyone votes and votes yes on Prop 1 tomorrow. I spoke at Cal State Northridge about the history of the city. I attended the Public Transportation Service Corporation meeting, of which I'm apparently the vice chair of, which was news to me, but it was lots of fun. And so I attended that meeting. I held my third volunteer with me at Project Angel Food, which was a lot of fun. I want to thank all 10 of the plus volunteers who came out that morning. I attended both community safety well-being community meetings, the virtual and in-person one. And shockingly enough, people have a lot of concerns about Fountain being dangerous. Maybe there's something to do about that. I attended the Contract Cities E-Board meeting, the SCAG Energy and Environmental Committee, the SCAG Regional Committee, the National Trans Visibility March Torch Awards with my colleagues, where we got an award, and the mayor has it, I'm sure. She probably remembers the title. And then I also attended the rally and march the next day, as well as the Trans Vagina Diaries world premiere event with Lindsay Deaton. Congratulations. I forgot to mention one adjournment, if we could adjourn in memory of Aaron Carter. Aaron Carter struggled with mental health and addiction issues for many years. I think it's no secret. But he did perform at WeHo Pride and was supportive of our community, and it's really sad to see what's been going on, which is only reaffirming and recommitting the work that we have to do. Additionally, if staff could follow up or put on the agenda to get to Ms. Tiger's point, the issue about Leslie Jordan, I agree with you, it's sad. Don't know what happened there. I don't know. But it would be great, considering how much we all up here loved Leslie, but I know how much you all love Leslie, to give him a posthumous Rainbow Key Award, and maybe reach out to his family and just seal the deal there for the next year when they do it. So just put that on there and just consider it done from here on out. Additionally, a couple of comments. I want to apologize to the community that I missed the installation of the parallel perpendicular and the Disability Advisory Board awards. It's a very busy time for Planned Parenthood, as many people probably can imagine, and so I was stuck at work, and I just want to congratulate all the honorees who just do so much for our community, and I'm just so thankful for each and every one of them. My next Plummer Park event is this Saturday at 10 a.m., come rain or come shine. And then the last thing, I just want to wish everyone on the ballot, voting, not voting, you hope you vote. Good luck tomorrow. Democracy is on the ballot, actually, in many ways, and so I want to thank all of the candidates who ran campaigns, wish them all good luck, wish my colleague Lindsay Horvath good luck in her venture tomorrow, all the candidates running to sit in one of these spots, and just say that democracy in some ways can be a blood sport. And Ted, I know that's why you chuckled. But we can't forget why we serve. And I think that's a really important point, because I don't serve on this dais to get $174 every other week. That's not why I do it, or to be accused of whatever we're accused of every single day. I do it because I love this city. I love all of you, whether we agree or not. And that's the point of our city. And that's the point of stuff I've learned from my colleagues up here, those in the audience, those at City Hall when I worked at City Hall. And we kind of have to remember that. And that's why I ran in 2020, because I loved this city and I thought it was time for change. And I was right. And another one of my colleagues was really right. And I think we have to remember what change looks like sometimes, good or bad, strange or weird in many ways, but it's West Hollywood. Steve Martin said it really well. There's 36,000 residents and we have 250,000 opinions, and not every one of them matches with what we're doing or what's going on, and some person likes the color purple and some person likes a different color, and it's worldwide news and all the stuff that we do. But I know everyone that is running in their weird way loves this city, no matter how they show it. But I think we have to remember, ultimately, when you take that oath, what you're doing. And it's an oath that we all take very seriously, and it's an oath that we don't get right all the time. No one's perfect. But we have to remember that civility in our politics, and that's the part that I hope we can move on from in many ways, because the toxicity, I still have hope. And I think that hope remains because of all of you, because of my colleagues up here, and because of the work that I think I see a lot of candidates out there talking about. And I've reached out to those candidates to say I've been really proud to see what they've been doing, how they've been doing it, and that future, what I think that they're hopefully trying to achieve for our city together. And ultimately, that will be heard tomorrow. And it is our job, my job, to serve with whomever the voters elect, and that's what I always intend to do and will always do, and do the best to my ability. And I hope that we all remember, whether you voted or you haven't, please vote. Just do it, right? It's really easy in the city. Melissa makes it really easy. Well, the county makes it easy, but Melissa goes out there. But remember, West Hollywood was started as an LGBTQ community with renters, seniors, people who are disabled, looking to fight for a better place for the future. And that future still matters in 2022. So go out and vote. Best of luck to all of you running, and may the odds be ever in your favor.
Thank you. Councilmember D'Amico.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just conferring with the mayor about item 5B, which we moved to consent, which is regarding the maximum unit size in residential and commercial zones. And the mayor brought this item back. It was something that we had worked on several years ago as some of the larger projects that had been approved really before any of us joined this council. And as she notes in her item, with units, some of them larger than 5,000 square feet, which, if we're talking about livable space, in one building, that could be 5 or 7 or 8 units, and in this building, it's one unit. And so I think we certainly want to make sure that our city has capacity for all kinds of people at every income level, but we may have, as I said, have been saying for at least a half a decade, we might be at the end of our time of making housing for super rich people. And I'm hoping that this is, as I'm leaving the council, I'm hoping that this is the future of our city, that really we double down on some of the sort of 1920s and 30s and 40s ideas about living in this part of the region, in community buildings with doors that face each other, that have details and promises about making community that are different than arriving in an underground parking lot and taking a private elevator to your single family 3-story townhouse, which is a perfectly lovely way to live. I don't live that way, but I'm sure it's really great. So I wanted to take a moment to thank the mayor for bringing this forward, my colleague for suggesting it move to consent, and really cheers to all of us for, again, reinventing one more time potentially the housing narrative of our city. I also wanted to, I have to going back, say about the WeHo Pride item. I'm very excited and have been honored to, for the entire time I've been on the city council, been a member of the WeHo Pride subcommittee. It was had a slightly different name for many of those years. And I think, government moves slowly sometimes, and then all of a sudden, everything's different. And my experience working with the mayor pro tem for the last couple of years has been extraordinary. I think our new adventure with JJLA and I just read it, and now the L Word and the Women's Music Festival, I think are really they're really a terrific, well-established, reliable source for exciting prides to come for the next 3 years. And I do think it's important that we give ourselves every possible leg up to make these a success, to establish a future history that we know will be a success. And there's plenty to investigate: closing Santa Monica Boulevard, different ways in which the city might expand or contract. But ultimately, I'm very happy and very excited that we're moving forward with this, because I think there's always room for improvement. But in our last first year of having a West Hollywood Pride, it was a huge success, and I just genuinely believe there are bigger successes to come. And I guess that brings me to the question about Halloween, which, there was all kinds of hilarious drama about why we didn't, plan a party for everyone who needed to put on a costume. And maybe that will happen. I understand why people were so anxious about the city closing the street, and why people were I'm one of these people, anxious to not close the street, to see what can develop naturally, because as of 2019, we sort of had dropped the live part of our Halloween adventure. It turned into a bunch of DJs remotely pumping music into speakers on the street, and really the community provided the entertainment. And in some way, I think we just need to reverse engineer that, and we need to have the community provide the entertainment and then see how we can support that. But my experience of Halloween, I went out for a nice long walk on Halloween, and it was a pretty fantastic version of a West Hollywood Halloween. It certainly didn't have 200,000 people in the middle of the street, but I had the sense it had, per capita, the number of costumes was much higher. The number of people who were there to authenticate Halloween for themselves and others really showed up. So I hear and I heard and I continue, no doubt after tonight we'll get lots of information and input about what we didn't do and why we're woefully unqualified. But I think that these kinds of events generate from the heart of our city, and I think there's more to come, and I'm guessing that with our special events staff and the creative council members up here and our business community, a new and exciting Halloween is ahead of us. I also wanted to ask the city manager, we've talked a little bit about this before tonight's meeting, but if at the next agenda we could bring forward an item for all of us council members to, of course, weigh in on regarding the impacts of the construction along Melrose on our business community, not just on our Melrose business community, but on our the sort of larger sense that West Hollywood is open for business. It's a tough street right now. Driving here in the rain, was thinking, you didn't think that kind of construction could make being on West Melrose Avenue worse. It's worse. So I think, City Manager, if we can continue our dialogue and you can work with the Chamber and others to bring forward something that potentially can affect our shopping season running up to the holidays and beyond as the construction in that area continues. The upside is that when the construction in that area is finished, it will be a truly extraordinary Melrose Avenue. But until we get there, it might be a little tough. With that said, I wanted to thank my colleague John Erickson for speaking so eloquently about elections and their purpose, and I couldn't agree more. Every elected official, I believe, whether I agree with any or all of what it is they want to do, they do it because they are called in some way. And I know the five of us and the former council member Steve Martin and everyone on the ballot has called upon themselves to put their name literally on the line. And so I salute all of you for stepping forward and doing your best to be a leader in our community. And with that, Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Shine.
Thank you, Mayor. Since our last meeting, I have participated in our Laurel House Subcommittee meeting, spoke at the Community Forum on Prop 1, participated in the Disabilities Advisory Board Annual Awards. I performed the ribbon cutting for a new incredible retail business called The Extreme Collection on Melrose. I attended the arts dedication event for the Parallel Perpendicular and spoke at the National Transvisibility March opening celebration, attended their Torch Awards, and attended and spoke at the National Transvisibility March on Saturday. I want to thank my colleagues for supporting 2U, which is a sponsorship of a discussion with Roots, Shorashim Judur, as part of the Human Rights Speaker Series. I went to Israel I was invited by a Wider Bridge to go to Israel on a Pride mission this summer. And on the last day, we went to the West Bank and we went to Roots. And it was the one place in the West Bank where Jewish people and Palestinians are actually meeting and speaking. That takes courage. Conversation takes courage. I was so inspired by what I heard at Roots that I really, really wanted them to come to our city. And I really encourage everyone to come and attend on December 7th at 6 p.m. It's going to be in the either in the community room or one of the ARC rooms. And I really want you all to experience what I did and to feel that hope. Regarding the Pride item, we had a thorough discussion to make sure that the LGBTQ Commission is part of the Pride Planning and Affinity Group organization as soon as they are formed. And I want to make sure that staff carries forward that direction as we move forward into next year, as well as making sure that JJLA lets its sponsors know that they cannot use the official WeHo Pride Party on any of their marketing advertisements. I didn't see it in the contract. I sent an email out today, and that was not returned with that question. So I want to make sure that that is a discussion that takes place. As I've been doing since Mahsa Amini's murder by the current government of Iran, I would like to give an update. Since the protests began, more than 300 people have been murdered by the government and thousands have been arrested. Just today, we found out that there were around approximately 14,000 protesters arrested, and that the government is now sadly going in the direction of calling for their execution. The protests have turned into a revolution, and my hope is that the hope of many Iranian Americans is that this revolution will result in the removal of this brutal government so that the Iranian people can finally be free. Since our last meeting, myself and 14 other Iranian American electeds who are women across the U.S. created and signed a letter and call to action that I'm going to read. Like the rest of the world, we are in profound awe of the fearless women and girls in Iran leading the revolution against the Islamic Republic. The heroism displayed by Iranians is inspirational, and those out in the streets deserve our full attention and support as they call for women, life, freedom, zan, zendegi, azadi. We fully condemn the murderous and barbaric Islamic Republic that has violently oppressed Iranian people for 43 years. We support the calls by the people of Iran for a new government, one that is democratically elected and free. We believe firmly in self-determination and that it should be the people of Iran who decide their own destiny. Our own parents, and some of us here, fled Iran because of the brutality of the Islamic Republic and its extreme regime during and following the 1979 revolution. The Islamic Republic has tortured and killed several of our family members and loved ones. That's how our families came to call the United States home. It's why many of us were born and or raised here in a country that supports the principles of democracy, human rights, and women's equality. Undoubtedly, the privileges and opportunities, including the opportunity to serve as female elected officials that we have had here as Americans, would be impossible for us in the Islamic Republic. Today, we hold renewed hope for the women of Iran and for the future of a free Iran, and want to assert clearly where we stand. First, we vehemently oppose all efforts and remarks, past and present, by anyone downplaying the brutality of the Islamic Republic. According to the US-based Human Rights Monitor, HRANA, at least well, now we know more than 300 protesters have been killed since demonstrations swept Iran on September 17th. The group has indicated that 44 among the dead were below the age of 18. That number is actually higher today. Protests first began after the brutal murder of Mahsa Jina Amini, and right now, security forces are increasingly raiding schools and targeting schoolgirls. The brutality of today and of the past cannot be ignored. Second, we agree with the Biden-Harris administration that all discussions on the JCPOA should be paused, and instead, the American government should provide assistance in maintaining internet access so that the people of Iran may continue to expose the injustices of their daily lives. We urge the United States and the international community to amplify the demands and the will of the Iranian people. Finally, we urge citizens to call their federal representatives and ask them to push for a UN investigation mechanism for crimes against humanity committed by the Islamic Republic. It is also imperative that the Islamic Republic be immediately removed from the UN Women's Commission, and we urge the Biden administration to help in these efforts. Our record as independently minded and human rights-focused individuals who advocate for freedom and equality is what drives us to serve our communities and sign on to this letter. As the fearless people of Iran continue to take to the streets, we call for unity among the Iranian-American diaspora and global community. Yes, many of us come from various political backgrounds and identities, but engaging in genuine democratic dialogue, a freedom that we are deeply privileged to have here in the United States and that the Iranian people are so bravely fighting for right now, means that we should never harass or threaten violence towards one another. We are stronger united than we are divided. After all, we each share in the same hope, a free Iran, where women, life, freedom is not only a rallying cry, but a reality for the Iranian people. Signed, Anna Monahemi Kaplan, New York State Senator, District 7, Anna V. Eskamani, Florida State House Rep, District 47, Yasamin Ansari, Phoenix City Councilwoman, District 7, Seppi Shine, myself, Mayor Pro Tem, City of West Hollywood, Susie A. Price, City of Long Beach Councilwoman, Mitra Jalali, City of St. Paul Councilwoman, Shebre Kalantari Johnson, Santa Cruz City Council Member, Sunny Zia, Long Beach Community College Board of Trustees, Liliana Bakhtiari, Atlanta City Council Member, Ramesh Akbari, Tennessee State Senator, Sharona R. Nazarian, Beverly Hills Council Member, Jeslyn Shahrizai, Lakewood City Council, Colorado, Darya Farivar, candidate for the Washington State House of Representatives, Sarah Zebanejadrod Bison, candidate for Roswell City Council. Since this letter was submitted to the Biden administration, Vice President Kamala Harris has called for the removal of Iran from the Commission on the Status of Women, and our hope that that will take place, as well as the rest of our calls to action take place. Tomorrow is the election, and I want to wish everyone the best of luck. It takes an incredible amount of courage to run, and I commend all of you for doing, especially the new folks that have entered this race. Next, I want to address some of the comments that have been made in our local news blog, as well as a comment that was made tonight about my colleague, Lindsay Horvath. I have never in my life ever heard anyone say that a man got to where he was because of a woman helping him. It is absolutely the definition of misogyny and sexism, and I've heard this so many times, that this elected official got to where they were because men helped them, politicians helped them, somebody must have helped them, and it's always about a woman. There's 3 women that sit on this council, and we all share in receiving misogyny and attacks that are sexist. And it's something that I will address and continue to address, and that is wrong. It is wrong, and it's even worse when a woman says it against another woman. I will not disavow my endorsement of Lindsay Horvath. I took a long time to make that decision, and my endorsements are not made lightly. My work with Lindsay on this council has shown me her incredible integrity, her intelligence. She shows up. She shows up when no one else does, and she takes risks and she makes the votes that she does, even when it might not benefit her. And that says a lot to me about her integrity and who she will be when she is elected to the County Board of Supervisors. And I truly, truly hope that tomorrow that happens and that more and more and more women like Lindsay Horvath are elected. Whatever you may have thought about her, give her a call and sit down and talk to her. Don't put it in a blog. Don't do it anonymously as an attack. That does nothing. That doesn't bring our community together. That does nothing. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Horvath.
Thank you. With regard to our consent agenda tonight, I want to thank our staff for working to organize this year's Veterans Day ceremony. I know West Hollywood's favorite veteran, Andy Harlan, will be out there, and I'm sorry to miss it this year. Though I am missing it for good reason, our Planning Commission Chair, Stacey Jones, will be getting married, and I have the honor of officiating her wedding. So I'm sorry to miss Veterans Day, but we congratulate Stacey and her future husband, and I will be glad to be present for that official ceremony. Since our last council meeting, I too participated in the Prop 1 Town Hall. I was glad to be present for the National Transvisibility March and Awards, as well as the Transvagina Diaries productions that happened this weekend. I'm so grateful for the work of our Arts Commission, our Transgender Advisory Board, and all the members of the community who made these wonderful events come to life. I also attended the protests that took place in Beverly Hills with Mayor Pro Tem Shine, and was proud to stand in solidarity with her to make sure our voices and our community's collective voices were raised there. I represented the city at the Transportation Committee for SCAG, as well as the board meeting for contract cities that took place in West Hollywood. I know Councilmember Erickson was there, and I know that they'll be coming back to West Hollywood very soon. I also attended the retirement of Chief Obsby from the fire department. It was a beautiful ceremony representing our city and participating with contract cities. His long service was historic, and we are grateful for his service. And I know that our fire stations are looking now to the acting chief, and the county board will soon be choosing a permanent chief here for our community and for the entire department. I participated in, on behalf of National League of Cities, in a forum that educated folks about the CVS prescription drug program that we have access to here in West Hollywood, just for being a member of the National League of Cities. And so if you are not familiar with this program, it is a prescription drug program that allows folks who have prescription drugs that are not covered by your insurance plan to get discounts, and in some cases, full coverage for those prescription drugs. It is completely free of charge, and it is open to every single resident in the city of West Hollywood. So if you are interested in that program, you can contact me, you can contact our staff, and we will be able to provide you with information on how you can very easily sign up. With regard to our public comments tonight, Susan has written to us multiple times and just recently wrote to us again. And so I wanted to ask, rather than pushing it back to staff, which we heard tonight has not delivered sufficient results to what they're, the remedies that they are seeking. If we could get a report back on a future agenda about noise complaints at this location, any other locations, how noise complaints are responded to in the city, whether there are routine noise violations from certain locations and how they're being addressed, so we can give some transparency to that conversation. And if further direction is required from the council to make sure that we're sufficiently remedying the issues that residents are experiencing, that we are able to have that conversation here so we can help staff with regard to those enforcement efforts as needed. And finally, yes, it is Election Day, and I want to wish the best of luck to everyone who has stepped up to run. I thank you for running because it does bring our democracy to life. My experience has had many facets to it, and I'll talk about that at a later time. But for now, our vote is our way to express our voices and to put our voice in action. And then on November 9th, or whenever we really know the results, because it might not be tomorrow, we have to work together as a community. So whomever is elected, whoever the community chooses, we need to get behind them and help educate them if they appear to be people with whom we disagree. If they are people with whom we agree, let us not put ourselves in silos so we don't hear the voices of others. As soon as this election is over, we have to work together, no matter who is sitting in these seats or who is sitting, in my opinion, in the more important seats that you all are sitting in the seat of citizen of our community. And so I hope that we take our voting seriously, that everyone goes out and does it. Don't let the rain distract you. Don't let the lunar eclipse and all of the strange things that have a strange convergence on this particular day dissuade you from turning out. But most importantly, know that after you cast your vote, whomever sits in these seats is doing so because they care deeply about the city and moving it forward. And they are your opportunity to work together. Whoever will be sitting in these seats. And it's been an honor for me to sit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Horvath. As far as attendance goes, I participated in the Laurel House Subcommittee meeting, the Great Earthquake Preparedness Shakeout, the El Pollo Loco ribbon cutting, the Great White Cafe on Melrose ribbon cutting, the 25th anniversary of the Melrose Trading Post, the Disability Advisory Board Awards, the Kids Fair, and the dedication for the Parallel Perpendicular. I presented certificates to CERT graduates, and I congratulate them all for making it through the course. And it's good to know that if we do have an emergency, that we have people who are prepared to work as citizens to help out first responders. I attended the West Hollywood Elementary Parade on the playground. They had very exciting costumes. I represented West Hollywood at the LA Regional Mayor's Roundtable on Infrastructure Investments, the SCAG CEHD Committee meeting, the Sanitation District Personnel Committee meeting, and also the National Trans Visibility March Torch Awards, where we received the Ally Leadership Torch Award. Regarding the consent calendar, with regard to item 2M, which is the annual Elton John's AIDS Foundation Oscar viewing party and charity fundraiser, I would like to speak for the dogs of WeHo. Going to the park is really an important part of their daily regimen, and I've been communicating with Helen Collins and Cleo Smith to find a way to try to keep those dog parks open when hosting these large-scale events, because many times the event, even though it's just one night, it's 3 or 4 or 5 days of setup and another couple of days of tear down, and on those days our dog friends are not allowed in the park. So I'd like to see if there's a way that we can get around that. Regarding items regarding events coming up, we have Veterans Day ceremony. The city invites the community members to join city officials, staff members, and representatives from the West Hollywood Sheriff's Station and LA County Fire Department in honoring our local veterans at a special ceremony on Friday, November 11th, 2022 at 11 a.m. at the Sal Guariello Veterans Memorial. Parking for the ceremony will be available at the Kings Road parking structure. And for more information, you can contact the city's Recreation Services Division at 323-848-6530. I also wanted to announce the Plummer Park Open House, Envision the Future of the Park. The city invites members of the community to participate in a new process to envision the future of Plummer Park. City staff will hold an open house on Tuesday, November 15th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Plummer Park in Fiesta Hall to provide background information to attendees about the park's history and current uses, programming, as well as to engage in a conversation with community members about general ideas under consideration as part of the Plummer Park improvements. The open house will be the first of many conversations that the city will be hosting in the coming months to better inform future planning efforts for the park, which will include near-term upgrades as well as long-term improvements. For the city manager's report, I'm actually, with regard to comments that we've gotten on the hotel noise, I'm wondering if we can be a little bit more proactive and perhaps have someone from our urban design and architect studio, as well as maybe a sound expert, actually go to those locations to see if there are things that they could be doing to mitigate that noise, whether it be glass barriers or hedges to absorb the sound. I would like to see us, because we have these noise complaints year after year after year. Everybody gets talked to, it's quiet for a little while, and then we have the same issues over and over again. So I would rather see us try to really mitigate the problems by looking for solutions. Regarding Halloween, I was wondering, because I'm sure that at some point the new finance subcommittee will be looking at budgets for the next year. And one thing I would be interested in finding out about is what costs would be on Halloween if we were to close Santa Monica Boulevard and include porta potties and security to make sure the porta potties aren't being abused, but not have the stages and not have the production. So I would like to see what that would be, because that would be one way that we can support our businesses and let the businesses be responsible for the entertainment. But we show our support by supplying the things that were not there this year or last year that I think the neighborhoods would appreciate as well. Because when there are no porta potties, then people's front lawns become the porta potties. So I would like to get an idea of costs on that as we move forward. And the other thing that we might want to think about in terms of Halloween is having our very creative arts division look at how we can get a little spooky art happening on the boulevard to make our visitors and residents experience nice and scary on Halloween. So those are some of the things that that I would like to look at as we move forward and think about. Regarding item 5B, I want to thank my colleagues for putting that on to consent. This is something that, as Councilmember D'Amico said, we have looked at in the past. What will happen is our city attorney will actually make sure that what we're even considering is legal and that acceptable by the state HCD department, as well as our urban design and architects studio as they move forward with studying R2 to R4 zoning. To incorporate this into their study, so it's not just something we're saying we're going to do this, we're going to study it and make sure that this is something that is something that we're able to do, and how we can do it in a way that doesn't disincentivize average development, but actually just tries to disincentivize extreme obscene luxury housing that really replaces many units that we could be creating in our city. And I'll just close with, it's election day tomorrow. I'm going to be really happy when tomorrow is over. I'm, as the candidates can all tell you, it is a very exhausting, stressful time. However, it is an incredibly enjoyable experience to get back out onto the streets and talk to residents and talk to our small businesses and talk to people about what's important to them. So I, wish everyone good luck and maybe get some sleep. And I'll hand this over to our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. As a number of you have mentioned, it is election day tomorrow. So we're going to have our city clerk, Melissa Crowder, provide an update on voting locations in West Hollywood.
Thank you, City Manager Wilson. So there are 3 vote centers in West Hollywood. There is one at Plummer Park Fiesta Hall, which is on Vista. We have one at the Aquatics and Recreation Center just around the corner in the La Cienega and San Vicente rooms. And there is one on Sunset at the Andaz. Additionally, we have vote by mail drop boxes on San Vicente, right in front of council chambers, in City Hall on Sweetser, and at the Plummer Park Community Center. Tomorrow, the vote centers will open at 7 a.m. and they will close at 8 p.m. If you need to locate an additional vote center throughout LA County, please visit lavote.gov or weho.org/elections, or call my office at 323-848-6800, or email me at mcrowder@weho.org. Please exercise your right to vote tomorrow. We need all of you, and we need to hear your voices. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will try to respond to some of your questions and comments first and then go through some general announcements. With respect to the noise issues with some of the hotels, we have been in communication with the GMs of those hotels as well as residents in the area. We will continue that as well as bring back a staff report regarding the impacts of noise and how we handle complaints, as well as looking at bringing in urban design and architecture studio and sound experts to look at other possibilities. So that will come forward. With regard to Herrick Street, we have noted all the comments from Councilmember Erickson, and we will look at those things, and as well as continue to work with that neighborhood and with the fire department regarding the red curb. With regard to the Rainbow Key Awards, we will look into that. I mean, there is a process for that, and we'll have staff talk with the commission, but we'll look at that.
Well, we approve them, so I guess if there's no objection tonight, just
we'll bring back an item.
Okay. Make sure he's on there.
Regarding the impacts of the construction on Melrose, we are working with the design district, and hopefully we'll come to some agreement and bring an item back on the 21st. If not, it will be later. And then with regard to Pride, staff will respond to the Mayor Pro Tem regarding the use of the official Pride logo and title. There was part of that item included getting some direction on the footprint of Pride. We don't need that tonight, but I think we do need to determine that at some point. So staff will continue to talk with our elected and appointed officials in the community and narrow some things down there. It does have a big impact on costs. So just using 2019 Halloween numbers, it costs about $3 million to close the street in just public safety. So that's without stages or anything else. So for Halloween and Pride, we are looking at that number.
Say that again.
2019 numbers, $3 million in just public safety to close Santa Monica Boulevard. So it's certainly something to consider.
That's just, and then is that including stage and entertainment?
That was mostly just public safety. In 2019, it was CSW's event, and so our our contribution was public safety. They basically paid for everything, and we shut down the street, and it was just under $3 million. So we'll continue to look at that, though. And then I will jump to a few comments. So the city has reopened the pools and at the Aquatics and Recreation Center effective today. All affected groups, classes, and program participants who have opted to receive emails have been notified by the city. The temporary pool closure to complete the final construction task for the newly opened swim facilities took about a month. And now that the pool is closed, we're going to have to close the Aquatics and Recreation Center, but only for the holidays. So the Aquatics and Recreation Center will be closed on Friday, November 11th for Veterans Day, as well as Sunday, November 20th for aquatics and service training, and then Thursday and Friday, November 24th and 25th for Thanksgiving. I do want to congratulate the 22 community members that completed the CERT training that was provided by the LA County Fire Department. We plan to offer the training again this coming spring of 2023. To learn more, please contact the Community Safety Department by email at safety@weho.org. In October, an additional 153 employees who work at businesses that sell alcohol for on-site consumption completed the bystander intervention training to help proactively prevent sexual assaults. This brings the total number of employees who have completed the training to nearly 2,100. The next training is scheduled for January. November is Transgender Awareness Month. The city will fly the transgender flag over West Hollywood City Hall from November 2nd to November 30th. The city will light the lanterns above Santa Monica Boulevard, blue, pink, and white, the colors of the transgender flag, from Thursday, November 10th to Monday, November 21st. The National Trans Visibility March was held this past Saturday at West Hollywood Park and featured a rally and march along Santa Monica Boulevard. The city hosted the world premiere of the Trans Vagina Diaries this past Saturday and Sunday to a full house at the City Council's chambers. We will host an in-person ceremony for Transgender Day of Remembrance on Sunday, November 20th at 6 p.m. at the council chambers. And then the city's also co-sponsoring two trans-led organizations in LA, the Unique Women's Coalition 25th Anniversary Gala, which will take place Saturday, November 19th from 6 to 9 p.m., and the Latina Coalition's Garris Fashion Show that will take place Saturday, November 19th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the PDC. And then also I just want to introduce and thank the Center for Policing Equity Community Engagement team. They are here for meetings this week with city officials, the Sheriff's Department, and community members as they continue our CPE study. And they're just observing tonight, but if you all want to just stand up and say hello. So thank you for all your work. And that concludes my comments, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Horvath, did you have a question?
Thank you, Mayor. I was so moved by my colleagues' comments that I forgot to mention that Ben Savage attended the Contract Cities meeting last week, and it was nice to have community members come and join that meeting. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Erickson, did you?
Thank you so much. I'm going to be recusing myself from 2L because I'm employed by Planned Parenthood.
Good job. Okay. Madam City Clerk, can we please have the fiscal impact with the additions of item 4A and 5B and the removal of item 2N?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. The fiscal impact on tonight's consent calendar with the removal of item 2N and the addition of items 4A and 5B is $1,063,946 in expenditures, $46,916 in revenues, and $29,158 in waived fees.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have a motion to approve. Yes, we have a motion, and we have an approved consent calendar. Okay. And fiscal impact. Excellent. Okay, we're going to move on now. We have no public hearings this evening. And we will move on to unfinished business. Item 4B, appointments to the Transportation Commission, Disabilities Advisory Board, Russian Speaking Advisory Board, and Women's Advisory Board. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. For my Russian Speaking Advisory Board appointment, I would like to appoint Sasha Razor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Congratulations, Sasha.
Are we ready to do any of the at-large appointments this evening?
Yes.
Okay, Transportation Commission? Okay.
Yes, and Women's Advisory Board.
Okay.
I see Councilmember Horvath's name. I don't know if...
I'm
okay.
not ready for Transportation Commission or DAB, but I'm ready for the WAB.
Okay. I am ready for WAP too.
Okay.
May I make a nomination?
Well then...
Can I call for nominations for the Women's Advisory Board at-large appointment, please?
Yes. I would like to nominate Olivia Lane.
I'll
Is
second that.
there a second?
Okay, do we have any other nominations?
Okay. So I will do a quick roll call vote just to confirm that appointment.
Have a comment, Councilmember D'Amico?
No, I'm about to say yes.
Okay.
Councilmember D'Amico.
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson. Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Shine.
Yes.
Mayor Meister.
Aye.
Olivia Lane is appointed to the Women's Advisory Board and Sasha Razor to the Russian Speaking Advisory Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations to you both. We will now move on to new business. And we are looking at item 5A, update on capital projects implementation. And I see our staff. Brian League, Rick Abramson, John Leonard. And you can begin any time.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Brian League with the city's Property Development Division. I wanted to give you just a brief update on the item on capital projects. I know that Councilmember D'Amico requested staff provide an update with a summary of projects and where they are at with the city's capital improvement program. So we summarized 10 projects in the staff report, providing an update on design development and where they're at in the construction pipeline. And as it indicated in the staff report, we believe we have adequate staff to bring these through pre-development work, which typically includes visioning, community outreach, programming, development, and design. We'll bring in some third-party consultants for design review or architectural services, but when we have a fully visioned project, we want to bring in some construction assistance for pre-construction and construction work. And I know the council had comments, so I think we'd like to hear your comments on the staff report.
Great, thank you. Who would like to begin? Councilmember D'Amico?
Sure. I just want to say that this is a super impressive report, and I guess I have sort of kept somewhere and rattling around in here all of the items that, in the last couple of years we have taken up, but it certainly didn't seem quite this, terrific and wonderful. And I just want to my colleagues, say, you've really sort of once again kind of redefined the footprint of this city as we move into these. And when I look at this this list, I'm struck by a couple of asks, and the first one might be that I think it's worth separating the orange line of permitting and construction, and sticking in there maybe a star for or another bar for bidding and council approval of the the, the final approval of the project, so that future colleagues might know that, for example, the City Playhouse, at the end of 2024, there would be that's when things would shift from a private or an internal city phase to a public phase of construction, that sort of thing, a decision. And then, just to sort of give a slightly different sense of for the public and really for the people up here, when that's going to change. And then the second thing is I know it's probably just another thing to add to the list, but maybe I would recommend that maybe every 3 or 6 months this come as an update and a progress report on sort of making all of these things happen. Because knowing what I know about doing this, 2023 will be very busy, and then 2024 will be even busier around this community, and then in 2026, a whole new sort of set of things will show up just before the Olympics. And I continually say that, and I hope that that enters this sort of dialogue for everyone in all parts of our staff and council, because the Olympics are formidable for those of us who lived here in 1984 and watched how it sort of took over everything for the first 4 years of the 1980s. And I think it's worth us not fighting that, but joining that and participating in that, and sort of focusing on how much that will help us move these things along, how much our community would embrace making these things happen if they knew that it would then mean a greater sense of participation in this global event. So I just leave you with all those thoughts, and again, it's a super impressive capital programs effort that I'm happy to see as I exit stage left. Thanks.
Okay. I know that we don't have any public comments, is that correct? Okay. Several of my colleagues had asked about the timeline for Crescent Heights, the Crescent Heights project, and I wondered if you could walk us through that.
Sure. At this point, we're studying a couple options on feasibility for the overall block there. We're looking at a mixed use and some other options that we want to bring a consultant on board and provide you an update probably early next year.
But in terms of the timeline that you have in the staff report, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Sure, we will. We're doing outreach and engagement in 2023, and we're looking for a vision that we want to bring to you early in the year to begin the outreach on that. So that's what we're studying right now. If it's a mixed-use project, what type of density, what type of framework of massing and design. And we hope to have some information to you early in January on that.
Okay. Any other questions about that project in particular? Okay. And then I realize that the design district streetscape improvements, that's a public works project, but I do want to say that what I see happening on Melrose, and I've talked to our city manager about this, what I see happening on Melrose is that we are seeing more and more restaurants versus design businesses. And so as we move forward with our economic development study, I would love to see us look at our art, that street, and there may need to be a rebranding, that it's not just the West Hollywood Design District, but it's so much more. We may end up being the restaurant row on Melrose from what I'm seeing on all the restaurants that are opening. So I just wanted to mention that as long as we had the project in this staff report.
And I think that we'll also have conversations with the Design District Board about that as well. But yes, I think that has definitely been acknowledged at a lot of recent board meetings as well, the number of restaurants coming in, and that the district is evolving in a good way.
Great. Councilmember Erickson?
Thank you so much. I've been listening to one of my colleagues talk about something that I think is deeply important to the city and the formation, and I was just wondering with my colleagues' approval, if we could just give general direction for you all to start working on that aspect of a capital project of an Olympic-sized artist installation, exhibition, WeHo celebration, working with WeHo Tourism and Travel. A lot of people are going to stay in West Hollywood for that. Tom Keeley, we all know what's going to happen. They're a great partner, so if we could work with them to give you that general direction. I honestly think that we should see if our new city lobbyist can get us on or a part of some ad hoc committee for the Olympics in 2028, and to come back with us with maybe a timeline, a work plan, involve the Arts Commission and what we would have to do. I don't know if it's a subcommittee or something, but I think we're all very supportive of it. I don't want to speak for all my colleagues, but I think this is a really great idea, and I think it is formative, and I think it will bring a lot of future forward thinking business and tourism and travel to the city. So I think, and it is a big undertaking in many ways, and I think it fits the scope of capital projects. So if there's no objection from my colleagues or add on to the fund, if we could just give you that general direction tonight to add to your work plan. I mean, the Olympics is only in 2028. I mean, although it's going to be here before you know it.
And our sports commission is actually
And
supposed
yes,
to be.
thank you very much,
that's
Mayor Pro
under
Tem.
their purview.
That's exactly right. Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem. So if there's no objection or comments, I just think that it's a really important thing for us to capitalize on as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we've been thinking about, and part of the economic study. It's certainly something we'll look at. We're going to keep Rick and Brian busy on finishing these projects that we've already started, but it's definitely something that we're looking at as far as visioning over the next several years. But as part of the economic study, we'll certainly look at that.
Okay, great. Are there any other comments? If not, then we can move on to item 5C. Oh, do you need us to do anything? Just, you got it, okay. So we're going to move on to 5C, appointment of city council member as delegate and alternate to the Clean Power Alliance. Madam City Clerk?
Thank you, Mayor. I realize this item is coming early to the City Council since we would typically be doing this in February. However, Councilmember Horvath, who is our current appointee to Clean Power Alliance, will not be with us for much longer. And Clean Power Alliance has requested that we appoint someone new and to affirm that Francisco Contreras is the city staff person to the Clean Power Alliance. So we wanted to take care of that this evening. So
Can it, I mean, I would rather wait till December, can it wait till December? We're all still here the first.
my understanding is that it can't, which is why we placed it on this agenda. But Councilmember Horvath may be able to speak more to the timeline.
Yeah, I might not be here, but the meeting in December is a lot, so it gives the person time to prepare for that meeting. There were also issues in the board where other cities' staff alternates were showing up who were not authorized to show up on behalf of the city. So they want to have on the record who our staff person is by name. And so it was just better to kind of clean it up now. And if you want to change it in February with all of the other appointments, so be it. But just to make sure we have coverage until then, I think.
Oh, so this is just for the staff appointment? Because it says...
No, it's a
It's
council.
for both.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the
All right.
council.
I just want to make sure I was understanding it
Yeah.
correctly. Okay.
So do we?
Currently the alternate.
You are correct. We currently have Councilmember Erickson as an alternate.
So I'm happy to nominate Councilmember Erickson to serve in that role.
Okay.
I've been following the agendas as the alternate, and Councilmember Horvath does a very, very good job at it. So, but I'm happy to step into that. And then in February, obviously, there's going to be a lot of new stuff, so we can have a larger conversation then.
Great. I'll let Clean Power Alliance know, and there is a statement of economic interest filing for this one. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion?
So I'll move the recommendation to appoint Councilmember Erickson as our direct delegate and to confirm the appointment of Francisco Contreras as our staff alternate. Do we need to confirm a second alternate then?
I think at this time we can proceed with Councilmember Erickson and Francisco, since staff will always attend on behalf of the city, and then we can address the alternate in February.
Even better.
I'll second it.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second on the floor to.
We have a motion.
We have a motion.
We have a second. And we have a vote. Congratulations, Councilmember Erickson.
Another meeting.
Okay. Excluded consent, there is none. Legislative, there is none. Public comment?
We did have, Ms. Tiger submitted an additional public comment slip.
Okay.
Typically, we don't allow someone to speak twice under public comment, but I did request from Mayor Meister, and she agreed that Ms. Tiger could speak again.
Good evening once again, and thank you for allowing me to speak again. Councilmember Erickson, you mentioned earlier tonight about the founding LGBTQ plus community of West Hollywood, and thank you for that reminder. I do wonder what they would think about today, as so many times your appointed officials your appointees who are on the LGBTQ plus advisory board continue to be heard but not listened to regarding items surrounding WeHo Pride, the Drag Laureate Program, Purview. You know, it's just ongoing. One thing you had mentioned tonight, Councilmember Seppi Shine, was the conversation takes courage, and I agree with you. But I don't see courage and conversation with our board regarding these matters. I also want to state that I agree with you about your comments about misogyny and one's career trajectory. I have experienced homophobia as well as a type of form of misogyny as a drag queen. There have been people in positions of power in the city who referred to me as some dumb drag queen when I was selected to be on the advisory board. But what I did applaud was the transparency in the comments regarding Councilmember Horvath's removal of the city of West Hollywood from her website. So make no mistake that the applause was for certain items such as that, okay? And, you know, as far as having this commission involved in WeHo Pride, nobody's looking to be a glorified party planner. So, you know, I assume people would not want to be that on a commission. They would want to be able to make real decisions and have real conversations, not party planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tiger. If there's nothing, council member comments?
I have a comment.
Okay, council member Erickson.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Shine first,
sorry,
please,
Mayor.
and then
Sorry,
council member Erickson. Start using your button, please.
Yes, I do. I actually would like to ask our city manager to have our economic development staff put an item on our next agenda which details all of the number of businesses that have filed to open since 2020 and that are going to be opening even before then. I want to know who they are, what they're bringing to our city, and what's to come. I think it's very important for the public to know the amount of businesses that are planning to open in our city. So I would appreciate that.
Apologies, I didn't use my button as the mayor reminded me. I just wanted to make sure the public was aware that a week ago, my friend Lisa Hartooni's dog, Jack, was stolen from her yard at 3:30 p.m. And if anyone it's a German Shepherd, a very beautiful dog. If anyone has any information or knows of anything, please call 310-866-8893.
Thank you, sorry to hear that. And if there are no other comments, we are going to adjourn to the next regular meeting, which will be on Monday, November 21st, 2022 at 6 p.m. at West Hollywood Park. Public Meeting Room, Council Chambers. We'll see you then. Happy voting.